I've been working on a rental project site in the West End for the past year now. And in addition to that, been having to look after a few rental properties myself. So here's a few quick tips for those who need to rent out their home for one reason or another. When you're screening your tenant, the best thing to look out for, number one, their credit and their funds. I know this might seem quite obvious to some, but oftentimes people don't look into these things. They go off the first meeting, they like the tenant, and then they sign it, and before you know it, the tenant doesn't actually have the funds in order to maintain the property. So number one, credit check. If that's not a possibility, a simple thing to do, ask them for a bank statement. You want to see that they have at least 3 to 4 months worth of rent saved up. Should something happen, you don't want them to be month to month at a point where they're stretched financially and you're having to go after them at the first of the month. Creep their social media. You'll be surprised what you'll uncover on there. They may tell you a certain story of who they are, what they do, and what they like to do, but you may find something very different on their social media. You're gonna call 2 references. First reference is going to be an employer reference. You want to speak to somebody who can confirm what their job is. You want to confirm that they're part-time or full-time. You want to see how long they've been in their position. I would be wary of anyone who's just started a brand new position unless it's in the same industry and it's a well-known company. Call their landlord reference. I want to speak to at least 2 previous landlords if that's possible. They may be coming from living at home, in which case speaking to a parent, for example, wouldn't be super useful. But when you're speaking to a previous landlord, you want to ask them the address of the property, how long they were there, and if they would rent to them again. You're not allowed to ask certain things, but by asking the landlord if they would rent it again, they'll start talking about their experience. Of course, one of the most important things is checking their identity. Very simple to do. You want to check their physical ID, ideally 2 pieces, and I would take a picture of their driver's license, for example, and keep that on file. That way, you know who you're dealing with. You have a photo that matches the name, and that way when you're checking their other credentials, all the names should be matching too. So quite simple. These are some quick tips for you when you're finding a tenant.